All right, so let's dive into some really practical stuff today.
Okay.
Essential English words. You know, if you're trying to really nail those everyday conversations, and we're going beyond the basics here, you know, our source material is this lesson plan on 100 essential words. It's nicely organized by theme.
Structure is so helpful.
Yeah.
It's like having a roadmap, you know, instead of just a pile of words.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So our mission is to pick out the most impactful words from each of these categories.
Okay.
Think of it as a greatest hits playlist for your English conversation skills.
Okay. I like that.
I'm curious to see which words you think pack the biggest punch.
Well, let's start with the greetings and basics section.
Okay.
You might think these are simple,
Right.
but there's more to them than meets the eye.
Okay.
Yeah. Take please and thank you, for example. Sure, they're polite, but they go way deeper than that. They're like social lubricants, smoothing out interactions and showing respect, regardless of culture.
It's fascinating how such small words can carry so much weight in building relationships. I've noticed that in some cultures, using please frequently can even imply a greater level of formality.
Absolutely. It's not just about the words themselves, but how they're used within a specific cultural context.
Yeah.
It's a reminder that language is always more than just a literal translation.
Speaking of navigating social situations,
Yeah.
our next category is shopping words.
Okay.
This one is all about mastering those marketplace interactions.
And it's about more than just getting the best price.
Oh, right.
Think about words like cheap versus inexpensive.
Okay.
Cheap might save you money, but it can also imply lower quality.
Yeah.
Inexpensive suggests you're getting good value without sacrificing quality.
That's a subtle but important distinction.
Right.
The words we choose can really shape a buyer's perception, can't they?
They absolutely can.
Yeah.
Language has a powerful influence on how we view products and services.
Okay, let's move on from the marketplace to something a little more appetizing. Food and restaurants. I'm always curious about how language plays a role in our culinary experiences.
This section is all about communicating your needs clearly,
Yeah.
which is crucial when trying new cuisines or dealing with dietary restrictions. Words like vegetarian and spicy are essential for navigating menus and ensuring a pleasant dining experience.
Yeah, it's funny because spicy can be so subjective.
Oh, yeah,
What's mild for one person might be fiery for another.
definitely.
I once had a friend who ordered a dish labeled mildly spicy
Uh-huh.
and ended up sweating and gasping for water.
Oh, I can relate.
Yeah.
I think there's a whole deep dive we could do just on the cultural variations of what constitutes spicy, but for now, let's stick to the essential words.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
We don't want to get too sidetracked.
Now,
Speaking of navigating new experiences, let's move on to travel and directions.
okay.
I have a feeling you might have some insights on this one.
Oh, this section really highlights the importance of prepositions. Words like near, far, straight, turn. They're the backbone of giving and understanding directions. Mastering these can make you a much more confident traveler.
Absolutely. I think we've all had those moments of being hopelessly lost because we misinterpreted a simple direction. Once I was in a small town in Italy and someone told me to go straight.
Uh-huh.
Well, straight apparently meant following a winding path up a hill.
Oh, no.
Not exactly what I had in mind.
I can imagine.
I think it highlights the importance of not just knowing the words,
Yeah.
but understanding how they're used in context. What's straight in one place might be a winding path in another.
Absolutely. Context is everything.
Yeah, that's a great reminder to be flexible and open to different interpretations when traveling.
Yeah.
All right, let's shift gears from physical journeys
Okay.
to the everyday journeys we all take. Our next category is daily activities.
This section is packed with verbs reflecting how much of our lives we express through simple present tense actions: wake up, sleep, work, study. It's almost like a linguistic snapshot of our routines.
It's fascinating how even the most mundane activities become part of the fabric of our conversations.
Yeah,
It's these small everyday verbs that really connect us, isn't it?
absolutely. Language reflects the common ground of human experience,
Yeah.
even in its simplest forms.
Okay, ready to explore something a little more subjective.
All right, let's do it.
Let's wrap up part one with feelings and descriptions. I'm curious to see how these words translate across cultures.
This section is interesting because it delves into those intangible subjective experiences. Words like happy, sad, angry, excited. While these emotions are universal, the way we express and perceive them can be incredibly diverse.
For example, in some cultures, expressing anger openly is considered inappropriate, while in others, it's seen as a healthy way to communicate. It makes you wonder if there are any truly universal happy or sad words, Or if they're all shaped by our cultural backgrounds?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
It speaks to the intricate connection between language, culture, and emotion.
All right, let's take a pause here and reflect on what we've uncovered so far. From greetings and shopping to travel and emotions, we've seen how even simple words can carry a surprising amount of depth and nuance.
And we've only just scratched the surface.
Wow.
There's so much more to explore in the world of these seemingly basic, yet incredibly powerful, essential words.
Wow, I'm excited to keep going.
Me too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing how much we kind of take these simple words for granted.
Right.
We use them every day without realizing the subtle ways they can shape our understanding.
It's like they're the secret ingredient that makes communication work.
Right.
But how can we take this awareness and actually use it to improve our conversations?
Yeah.
I mean, knowing a word and using it confidently are two different things, right?
Absolutely. It's like having a toolbox full of amazing tools but not knowing how to use them. That's where practice comes in.
Okay.
A simple exercise, pick 3 words from this list that you don't normally use.
Okay, I like that. 3 words.
Make it a challenge.
Make it a challenge.
Exactly. Try to weave them into your conversations this week. See how they fit how people react. It's like a little linguistic experiment.
And I bet you start noticing those words more when others use them too.
Yeah.
It's like when you learn a new word, you suddenly see it everywhere.
That's your brain making connections.
Yeah.
Another tip, don't just memorize the words in isolation. Create your own sentences, even if they're silly.
So instead of just discount, I could say, I tried to get a discount on a talking parrot, but the shopkeeper wasn't having it.
Perfect. The more ridiculous, the more memorable, right?
Yeah.
But beyond personal practice, what about that feeling of being surrounded by English? How important is that?
You mean like immersion?
Hmm.
I've heard that's crucial, but it can be tough to create that environment if you're not living in an English-speaking country.
True, but there are ways. Movies, TV shows, even music, they all count. And don't just passively watch, try to pick out those essential words, see how they're used in different contexts.
It's like tuning your entertainment into a language lesson.
Exactly.
But let's be honest, it's easy to get stuck in our own bubble. How important is getting feedback from others, especially native speakers?
Feedback is gold. It's like having a personal coach pointing out your blind spots. Don't be shy about asking for corrections or suggestions. Find a language partner, a tutor, or even just a friend who's willing to help.
Because let's face it, making mistakes is part of the learning process. It can be frustrating, but it's how we grow.
Couldn't agree more. It's about celebrating those aha moments, not getting hung up on perfection.
So we've covered a lot of practical tips, practice immersion feedback, but learning a language can be an emotional roller coaster too. Any advice on staying motivated when it feels overwhelming?
Motivation is key. Remember why you started learning English in the first place. What are your goals? Focus on those and celebrate every step you take towards them, no matter how small.
It's like giving yourself a high five for every step forward, no matter how small.
Exactly.
And it's about finding joy in the process, right? Not turning it into a chore.
Absolutely. If you're not enjoying it, you're less likely to stick with it.
Find ways to make learning fun, whether it's through games, music, or connecting with other learners.
So we've talked about mastering these essential words, but how does it all fit into the bigger picture of communication? What's the long-term payoff?
Think of it this way. These 100 words are like the foundation of a house. Once you have that strong base, you can build upon it with more complex vocabulary and grammar.
So it's about creating a framework
Right.
for expressing yourself clearly and confidently no matter the situation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And as your language skills grow, so does your ability to connect with people from different cultures, explore new ideas, and navigate a world that's increasingly interconnected.
It's like unlocking a whole new level
Yeah.
of understanding and engagement with the world around us. Pretty amazing for a set of seemingly simple words. It is, isn't it? They might be small, but they're the building blocks of something much bigger.
All right, let's take a moment to absorb all that we've discussed. We've talked about putting these words into practice, finding ways to stay motivated, and understanding how this journey impacts our overall communication. What's resonating with you most strongly right now?
I think what stands out to me is this idea that language learning isn't just about accumulating knowledge.
Okay.
It's about a deeper kind of self-discovery and cultural exploration. It's about realizing that the way we use language shapes our understanding of the world and ourselves.
That's a powerful thought.
Yeah.
It's not just about learning words. It's about expanding our perspectives and connecting with something larger than ourselves.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's what makes it so exciting. Every new word, every conversation is an opportunity for growth and understanding.
So from these foundational words to the broader impact of language learning, we've covered a lot of ground. Now, I want to shift gears a bit. We've talked about communication in a general sense, but what about the art of storytelling? How do these essential words play a role in crafting compelling narratives?
That's an interesting angle. It's easy to overlook, but these simple words are the very building blocks of stories. We use them to describe characters, settings, actions, emotions, all the elements that bring a narrative to life.
It's like a writer's palette, mixing and matching these essential colors to create a vivid picture.
Yeah.
Even with a limited vocabulary, you can still tell a powerful story.
Absolutely. Think of those classic fairy tales that have been passed down for generations. They often rely on simple language, yet they convey profound messages that resonate across cultures.
Like Little Red Riding Hood, right? Wolf Wood's grandmother basket. Such
Yeah.
simple words.
Right.
But woven together, they create a tale that's both timeless and captivating.
Exactly. It demonstrates the power of storytelling to transcend language barriers and connect with us on a fundamental human level.
But storytelling isn't just about fairy tales, is it?
No.
It's something we do every day, whether we're sharing anecdotes with friends or presenting ideas at work.
You're right. Storytelling is woven into the fabric of our lives. It's how we make sense of the world, connect with others, and share our experiences.
And the words we choose, even these seemingly simple, essential words, have the power to shape those stories and influence how they're received.
Absolutely. The right word can evoke a specific emotion, create a vivid image, or draw your listener in.
So we've established that these essential words are crucial for storytelling. But I'm curious about the influence of culture on narrative. Do different cultures approach storytelling in distinct ways?
Culture plays a huge role in how stories are told and interpreted. Every culture has its own unique traditions, values, and beliefs, and these are reflected in their storytelling styles.
So it's not just about the words themselves, but the cultural context surrounding those words.
Precisely. What might be considered a humorous anecdote in one culture could be perceived as offensive or inappropriate in another.
It highlights the importance of cultural sensitivity and understanding, especially when engaging with stories from different parts of the world.
Absolutely. It's about respecting those differences and appreciating the diversity of human expression.
Okay, so we've talked about the essential words of storytelling and the influence of culture, but what about the role of personal experience?
Yeah.
How do our individual journeys shape the stories we tell?
Our personal experiences are the raw materials of our stories. They provide the emotions, the insights, the unique perspectives that make our narrative authentic and relatable.
It's like each of us carries a library of stories within us waiting to be shared.
Right.
And as we learn and grow, those stories evolve and take on new meaning.
Exactly. Our stories are constantly being shaped and reshaped by our interactions with the world.
So from fairy tales to personal anecdotes, we've seen how these essential words form the foundation of storytelling. But what about the role of imagination? How does our creative faculty enhance and enrich our narratives?
Imagination is the spark that ignites our stories. It allows us to transcend the boundaries of reality and create worlds and characters that exist only in our minds.
It's like having a superpower. We can use words to conjure up entire universes and invite others to explore them with us.
And the more we cultivate our imaginations, the more vibrant and compelling our stories become.
Okay, so we've explored the role of essential words in storytelling, examining the influence of culture, personal experience, and imagination. But how does engaging with stories, whether reading them or creating them, impact our understanding of the world and ourselves?
Storytelling is a powerful tool for fostering empathy and understanding. When we step into the shoes of characters and experience the world through their eyes, we develop a deeper appreciation for different perspectives.
It's like a bridge that connects us to the hearts and minds of others, even those who might seem very different from ourselves.
Exactly. Through stories, we can explore complex themes, challenge our assumptions, and expand our capacity for compassion.
Now that's a powerful takeaway. As we wrap up this segment of our deep dive, what final thoughts would you like to share about the profound connection between essential words and the art of storytelling?
Remember, storytelling is a fundamental human impulse. It's how we connect, share knowledge, and make sense of the world around us. Even with a limited vocabulary, you can weave compelling narratives that resonate with others. Embrace the power of storytelling and let your voice be heard.
That's a beautiful message.
Yeah.
It's a reminder that we're all storytellers at heart, and that language, even in its simplest forms, is a powerful tool for connecting with others and sharing our experiences.
Precisely. And as we continue our journey of language learning, we're not just expanding our vocabulary, we're expanding our capacity for understanding empathy and connection.
Okay, we've explored the depths of these essential words, their role in communication, and their power in storytelling. Now I'm eager to shift our focus to something a bit more practical. let's dive into some strategies for actually incorporating these words into our daily lives and making them a natural part of our conversations. Okay, so it feels like we've been on this incredible journey, right? From the nitty-gritty of individual words to the grand scope of storytelling and cultural exchange.
Yeah, it's fascinating how it all comes together.
Right.
We started with what seemed like basic vocabulary, and now we're talking about shaping our understanding of the world.
Exactly. It's like those 100 words were just the tip of the iceberg, and we've been diving deeper and deeper into this vast ocean of language. So where do we go from here? How do we actually put this knowledge into practice beyond the tips we've already discussed?
Well, one common challenge I think a lot of people face is feeling overwhelmed
Yeah.
by the sheer number of words out there.
Right.
My advice, don't try to learn everything at once. Start small. Maybe focus on a few words from each category each day.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's like building a mosaic, one tiny piece at a time.
Yeah.
Eventually you step back and there's this beautiful, complex picture.
That's a great analogy.
And don't underestimate the power of repetition. Use those new words in different contexts. Write them down, say them out loud. The more you engage with them, the more they'll stick.
Repetition is key.
Yeah, it's like creating a groove in your brain for each word.
Yep.
Making it easier to recall when you need it. But what about making sure those words aren't just floating around in isolation?
Right.
How do we really grasp their meaning?
Context is key. Instead of memorizing dictionary definitions, try learning new words within phrases and sentences. See how they function in real-life situations.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's like learning a dance move.
Uh-huh.
You don't just practice the step in isolation, you incorporate it into the flow of the entire routine.
Exactly. And speaking of flow, the more you can actively use English, the better.
Right.
Don't be afraid to make mistakes. That's how we learn. Find opportunities to speak. Right. Even think in English.
So turn off the subtitles on your favorite show. Maybe try journaling in English, even if it's just a few sentences at first. Challenge yourself, but of course it helps to have guidance along the way, right?
Absolutely. Feedback is crucial. Find a language partner, a tutor, or even just a friend who can offer corrections and suggestions. It's like having an extra set of eyes and ears to help you fine-tune your skills.
Because let's face it, sometimes we get so caught up in our own heads that we don't see the areas where we need to improve. But even with all the tips and strategies, language learning can be tough, especially when you hit those inevitable plateaus. How do we stay motivated?
You know, motivation is key. Remember why you started learning English in the first place. What are your goals? Focus on those and celebrate every step you take towards them, no matter how small.
Yeah, because it's easy to get discouraged, right? Especially when you compare yourself to others who seem to be progressing faster.
Comparison is the thief of joy, as they say. Focus on your own progress and find ways to make the learning process enjoyable for yourself.
So find those methods that resonate with you, whether it's watching movies, listening to music, or connecting with other learners online. Make it fun, and you're more likely to stick with it. And it's all worth it in the end, right?
Yeah.
What's the ultimate payoff of dedicating ourselves to mastering English?
Well, on a practical level, English fluency opens doors to a wider world travel career, opportunities, access to information and resources. But beyond that, it's about expanding your horizons, connecting with people from different cultures, and developing a deeper understanding of the world around you.
It's like you're not just learning a language, you're learning how to see the world through new eyes.
Precisely.
Okay.
And that's a gift that keeps on giving.
So we've covered a lot of ground today, from those initial 100 words to strategies for achieving fluency and understanding the transformative power of language. As we wrap up this episode, what's your final takeaway for our listeners?
Remember that language learning is a journey, not a destination. It's about embracing the challenges, celebrating the victories, and never losing sight of the joy of discovery.
Beautifully said. And even though our deep dive is ending, I hope this sparks a lifelong passion for exploring the wonders of the English language.
It's been a pleasure diving into this with you.
The pleasure was all mine. To everyone listening, thank you for joining us and happy learning.